Hey everybody! Today we're going to be reading chapter 16 of 1 Kings, and after I get done reading scripture, I'm going to explain what I think about it, how I feel about it. And I'm not an expert in scripture at all, so please do not lean on my understanding, but trust in the Lord for understanding and for guidance. And if I mispronounce any names, places, people, words, anything like that, I do apologize. And as always, I am reading from my Bible. Since I'm in the house, this is the New Living Translation, so the NLT for those who want to follow along. And without further ado, let's get started. This message from the Lord was delivered to King Baasha by the prophet Jehu, son of Hananiah. I lifted you out of the dust to make you ruler of my people Israel, but you have followed the evil example of Jeroboam. You have provoked my anger by causing my people Israel to sin. So now I will destroy you and your family, just as I destroyed the descendants of Jeroboam, son of Nebat. The members of Baasha's family who died in the city will be eaten by dogs, and those who die in the field will be eaten by vultures. The rest of the events in Baasha's reign and the extent of his power are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Israel. When Baasha died, he was buried in Tirzah. Then his son Eliah became the next king. The message from the Lord against Baasha and his family came through the prophet Jehu, son of Hananiah. It was delivered because Baasha had done what was evil in the Lord's sight, just as the family of Jeroboam had done, and also because Baasha had destroyed the family of Jeroboam. The Lord's anger was provoked by Baasha's sins. Eliah, son of Baasha, began to rule over Israel in the 26th year of King Asa's reign in Judah. He reigned in the city of Tirzah for 2 years. Then Zimri, who commanded half of the royal chariots, made plans to kill him. One day in Tirzah, Eliah was getting drunk at the home of Erza, the supervisor of the palace. Zimri walked in and struck him down and killed him. This happened in the 27th year of King Asa's reign in Judah. Then Zimri became the next king. Zimri immediately killed the entire royal family of Baasha, leaving him not even a single male child. He even destroyed distant relatives and friends. So Zimri destroyed the dynasty of Baasha as the Lord had promised through the prophet Jehu. This happened because of all the sins Baasha and his son Eliah had committed, and because of the sins they led Israel to commit. They provoked the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel, with their worthless idols. The rest of the events in Eliah's reign and everything he did are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Israel. Zimri began to rule over Israel in the 27th year of King Asa's reign in Judah, but his reign in Tirzah lasted only 7 days. The army of Israel was then attacking the Philistine town of Gibbethon. When they heard that Zimri had committed treason and had assassinated the king, that very day they chose Omri, commander of the army, as the new king of Israel. So Omri led the entire army of Israel up from Gibbethon to attack Tirzah, Israel's capital. When Zimri saw that the city had been taken, he went into the citadel of the palace and burned it down over himself and died in the flames. for he too had done what was evil in the Lord's sight. He followed the example of Jeroboam in all the sins in all the sins he had committed and led Israel to commit. The rest of the events in Zimri's reign and his conspiracy are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Israel. But now the people of Israel were split into two factions. Half the people tried to make Tibnin, son of Githa, their king, while the other half supported Omri. But Omri's supporters defeated the supporters of Tibnin. So Tibnin was killed, and Omri became the next king. Omri began to rule over Israel in the 31st year of King Asa's reign in Judah. He reigned 12 years in all, 6 of them in Tirzah. Then Omri brought the hill, now known as Samaria, from its owner, Shemer, for 150 pounds of silver. He built a city on it and called it Samaria in honor of Shemer. But Omri did what was evil in the Lord's sight, even more than any of the kings before him. He followed the example of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, in all the sins he had committed and led Israel to commit. The people provoked the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel, with their worthless idols. The rest of the events in Omri's reign, the extent of his power, and everything he did are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Israel. When Omri died, he was buried in Samaria. Then his son Ahab became the next king. Ahab, son of Omri, began to rule over Israel in the 38th year of King Asa's reign in Judah. He reigned in Samaria 22 years. But Ahab, son of Omri, did what was evil in the Lord's sight, even more than any of the kings before him. And as though it were not enough to follow the sinful example of Jeroboam, he married Jezebel, the daughter of King Ethbaal of the Sidonians, and he began to bow down in worship of Baal. First, Ahab built a temple and an altar for Baal in Samaria. Then he set up an Asherah pole. He did more to provoke the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel, than any of the other kings of Israel before him. It was during his reign that Halil, a man from Bethel, rebuilt Jericho. When he laid its foundations, it cost him the life of his oldest son, Abram. And when he completed it and set up its gates, it cost him the life of his youngest son, Segub. This all happened according to the message from the Lord concerning Jericho, spoken by Joshua son of Nun. Thus ends the reading of chapter 16 of 1 Kings. So, in this chapter, there's a lot of people who was doing what was evil in the Lord's sight, and it just seemed like everybody who came after, it seemed like when one person do something that's evil in the Lord's sight, the next person is worse, and then the next person is worse, and then so on and so forth. But I love how the Lord don't discriminate. If you're doing what's evil in the Lord's sight, the Lord gonna deal with you, period. I don't understand why these kings didn't learn from their predecessors. Like if you're meant to become the next king, and you see how the current king is acting, be different. Why would I don't understand. But sometimes hurt people hurt people. Basically, hurt people hurt people. When you think about it, like, in all honesty, I feel like that's what happens inside of toxic, dysfunctional families. It's just a whole bunch of hurt people hurting people. And that's why the families don't get along and everything. That's why everybody don't like everybody for some reason. It's a lot of unforgiveness and just a lot of hurt people just hurting a whole bunch of people. A lot of people not taking accountability and just a lot. A lot. People refusing to go to therapy and work on themselves. They just think it's just easier to think that everybody else is the problem and that you're perfect and you're not doing anything wrong and there's nothing that you need to work on. And it's just a lot of that. It's a lot of that. That wasn't just about my family. That was about any family really who's toxic and dysfunctional. I know it's a lot of families like that out there, and I know that my testimony and everything, the things that I've been through and everything, a lot of other people have been through too. So, but yeah, it's just a lot of wicked people just doing wicked things, basically. A lot of wicked people doing a lot of wicked things, and I refuse to continue the cycle. Like, just because you've been hurt doesn't mean that you have the right to go out there and hurt others. Like that's something that I've had to tell some family members and everything. Look, I understand that you've been hurt in the past. I understand that this has happened to you and everything. But just because all of that stuff has happened to you and everything, that does not give you an excuse to have did what you did to me. You hurt me. I understand that you're hurt and you haven't healed from that and stuff, but you hurt me because, like, you still hurt me. Like you don't get a pass from what you did to me just because you're hurt. That's just like someone with a mental health issue or whatever, who's literally a danger to themselves and to society and everything, go out there and kill someone. And then they end up in court and the lawyer want to be like, they should get a pass and everything for killing that person because they're mentally ill. They're a danger to themselves and to society or whatever. The family of the person who got killed and everything is over here like, no, they don't get a pass. First of all, if y'all knew that this person had a mental illness and everything and is a danger to themselves and to society, then why are they outside, being a danger to themselves and to society? Like, this person has a mental issue. So if they can't be outside without hurting themselves or somebody else, then they need to be I was gonna say they need to be locked up somewhere, but no. Like, they need to be in a facility so that way they could get help and be under supervision and not, be a danger to themselves or to society. Like, this person, something needs to happen because my child, is no longer here and everything. My family member is no longer here because they were out doing dumb stuff. Like, we not finna blame it on the mental illness. We not finna blame it on that. Like, I want justice. So, that's an example. Like, I don't like how people want to use their past and everything as an excuse, for what they did to you. Like, just because you were hurt in the past don't mean that that's an excuse or a justifiable reason as to why you hurt me and why I should get over it or something. Like, no, you don't get an excuse for that. So I just don't like it how hurt people hurt other people. If you've been hurt, do your due diligence. Go to therapy. Go to counseling. Heal. Forgive people, So that way you don't hurt someone else unintentionally or intentionally. Directly or indirectly. Like Like, let's all do what we need to do. We all need to practice forgiveness. We all need to, recognize the past traumas and things that we've gone through and stuff. We need to learn how to heal from that, how to trust people again, how to love people again, how to, be empathetic towards people again. You know, we need to heal and forgive so that way we don't hurt nobody. We gotta we have to be healthy. Like we all just need to work on being healthy. I'm tired of hurting. I'm tired of hurt people hurting other people. And that's all my family is. It's just a whole bunch of hurt people hurting other people, and I'm tired of it. You know, and I know that it's other people just like me, other children just like me, and families where it's the same way. And I say other children because, I'm 27, and, everybody else in my family just like, what are they? Past their 50s? I don't, yeah, 40s, 50s, past that. Yeah. It's not a lot of young people in my family, and if it is, I just can't think of them right now. Um, oh yeah, my siblings and my cousins, yeah. Okay. Yes, a lot of young people in my family. That's my age. But but yeah, like I'm talking about, I'm talking about the generation, before me and all that. I'm talking about like my parents and they people in their generation, and then I'm talking about my grandparents and the people in their generation. Yeah. Great grandparents, they all, they all gone on to glory and stuff. They home with Jesus if they home with Jesus. So yeah. That's pretty much what this chapter got me thinking about. It's just a whole bunch of wicked people doing what's evil in the Lord's sight, and the Lord is gonna handle all of them. And it's just sad that every evil person that came after them was just worse than the last. And I know y'all heard about Jezebel before, so I ain't even gotta say nothing about her. But yeah, we already know how Ahab and his wife Jezebel finna get down. We already know. It's gonna be some issues, but okay. Yeah, we gotta hear about it. We gotta learn about it. We gotta learn about it, cause it's some Jezebels out there. It's some Jezebels out there. Some Jezebels out there. So yeah, let's just everybody. My advice for y'all. You know what you're dealing with. You know what you're dealing with. I used to think that I was fine, but no, I was just good at hiding how I truly felt. In all honesty, I didn't even really know how I truly felt because I've been trained not to feel, those negative emotions and everything. So I had to learn how to, identify my emotions, process those and everything, in a healthy way and stuff. Like, I'm going to counseling and stuff at my college, since it's free and everything for students. So, I'm working on myself. I'm doing what I need to do in order to heal and everything. And I just suggest that everyone else does that as well, because you need to. Like, they will be able to help you see things that you would not normally be able to see because you're living it. When you're going through the trauma and when you're living it and stuff, you can't really step back like an outsider looking in and be able to be like, oh, this type of thing is going on, and you're suffering like this because of, like, sometimes it takes an outsider in order to tell you what's going on and everything, you know. So counseling really is helpful, or therapy, whichever one. It really is helpful, and I really do recommend it because how can you help people and be your best for other people when when you're not your best for yourself? You know, how can you love others when you cannot love yourself? So you have to love yourself, and you love yourself by by going to counseling and therapy, by seeing what's wrong, and by changing that. I'm be like, because if you don't, you're not going to be your best self, and you're not going to be able to, do the work in which the Lord has called you to do. Like, I'm supposed to travel around the world and preach the gospel. How am I supposed to do that if I cannot connect with people and everything because of the fears and the anger and everything from my past? You know? What happened to me in the past and everything is preventing me, it's the barrier preventing me from being able to connect with people right now. So, it's preventing me from being able to, communicate with people right now and help them in the best way possible. So, you know, because people, when you talk to people, they want you to be empathetic. They want to see, that you really care and everything. And they, want you to go the extra mile in order to help them and stuff like that. And it's like when you're hurt and when you're tired and when you're not healed and when, you're, you know, like when you're just not, when you're not there, you cannot be the best version that you need to be, not only for you but for others. Like you just can't, you know. It's like when you depressed, you just going through the motions, you're just trying to survive. I don't want to live life on survival mode. I want to live life, actually live it. I don't want to survive. I want to live. You know, like when I engage with someone, I want to actually be interested in what it is they're talking about. I want to actually connect with them and everything. I want to actually be empathetic and actually get to know them. I don't want anyone to get the feeling that I don't care about what it is that they're talking about. I do. I do. And I just really do want to connect with people and stuff. So, like, I've been sheltered my whole life and everything, introverted, you know. So, like, I'm doing my best in order to get out of that, cause I want to be able to do the work that the Lord calling me to do. So, I'm working on it, but I just don't like the fact that, you know, that my past is causing me such problems now. But I'm working on it so that way I can heal and be able to be the best version of me that I could be. But it take counseling. It take a lot of self-reflection, and it take a lot of work. But if you do it, you'll be better. And I just recommend that everybody, go through some sort of like counseling or therapy so that way they can get the help that they need. Because honestly, sometimes we think that we're not the problem, but sometimes we might be. Sometimes the things that we struggling with or the things that we going through in life, might be because of us and the patterns or behaviors that we, you know, that we engage in, that we developed, in our past. Like, for example, I'm trying to think of one. Like you know how like when you walk into a room and you can read the room and you can see whether or not, okay, like how everybody is feeling today, and then you literally tailor, how you address them and everything based off of how the room feels. Like you get that good at doing that because you grew up in an environment where, you had to do that. Like you had to walk inside of a room on high alert and everything, observing and everything, trying to see whether or not it's safe today, in order to talk to mom or whatever. Is she finna crash out? Is she upset and everything because of the job or whatever? What mode is she in? It's like you learn those things. And then unfortunately, you also assess those things with, okay, if she's angry, then, she angry at me, or like, if she's angry, because of work or whatever, I cannot talk to her because if I do, then she's going to be angry at me. When in actuality, she was just angry at the job, but she's just venting her frustrations out on you. Still not good either way, but you know what I'm saying. So then you grow up, and then every time someone get angry and everything and talk to you in an angry tone or whatever, you automatically thinking that you did something wrong and that they're angry at you. When in actuality, they're not. They're just angry about their situation, but just talking in an angry way towards you, like just basically taking their anger out on you. But it's not even you. It's the situation. So, it's like your past and the like your past and what all you went through in your past and everything, and how your body and your brain came up with ways in order to get you through, those same behaviors and everything you might still exhibit as an adult and stuff, because your 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 body and everything still reacts in that way in order to protect itself. But your body, you have to train your body to realize that you're no longer inside of that messed up situation anymore. You're no longer inside of that toxic environment anymore. You are safe. Your brain was doing what it needed to do back then in order to protect you, you know. But you're no longer in that space anymore. So you have to, train yourself to, not think that way. Like, another thing is that, you think negative all the time. You always think the worst because the worst always came, when you grew up. But now, like, you gotta think positive because you're no longer in that environment anymore. The worst isn't finna happen all the time. Some good things can happen to you too, so you just got to work on that. But yeah, it takes time for all of that stuff. Um, but yeah, I hope that this testimony, I hope that y'all understand what I'm saying, and I hope that this helps someone. But yeah, we just gotta stop hurting people. Like, we need to heal. We need to be healed people. We need to be healthy people. We need to be happy people. So that way we can help people, so that way we can help others. So that way they can be happy and healthy, you know? It's time to stop passing on the trauma. It's time to stop passing on the dysfunctionality. It's time to stop passing on the toxicity and stuff. It's time to stop passing on the hurt. Like, somebody needs to be the generational curse breaker and needs to put an end to all that. For me and my family, I'm that person to end it. It starts with me. And I know that somewhere out there, it's a lot of people like me who say, I'm tired. It's ending with me. We're not finna continue doing this. It's time for us to heal. So, let's do what we gotta do. I know it's gonna take work. And we got to be okay with the fact that we can't heal everybody, we can't help everybody, because when it comes down to healing and stuff, that's work that you have to do. It's just like when you're trying to lose weight and stuff. I can't lose the weight for you. That's literally something that you have to do, and you can't blame it on no one but yourself when you didn't lose the weight that you wanted to lose, because I legit cannot do that for you. Like, I can make the meal plan for you and everything, but you the one that have to eat it. I can make the exercise plan for you, but you the one that have to do the work. If you don't do the work, then all of my efforts is for nothing, and you didn't lose weight because you didn't do what you needed to do. So, and you being jealous of me just because I lost weight, I mean, I did the work. I did the work. I ate healthy, it took discipline to do that. Took discipline to do that. I exercised. I ate healthy. I was consistent, and I stuck with my plan for a year, and I lost all that weight. I did that, and you could have did that too had you been consistent, and just you know. So it's like that when it comes down to healing and stuff. You have to go to therapy. Like, you have to be the one to forgive these people who hurt you. You have to be the one to go to therapy and do the work. And you have to be the one in order to change your habits, and you have to be the one to set your boundaries and do what you need to do in order to heal. Like, you have to do the work. I realized that I cannot change other people. I can't. The only thing I can do is change myself. And if other people is going to try and use me and abuse me and be disrespectful to me and stuff like that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my boundaries, and I'm going to make sure that you don't cross them. And if you try and cross them too many dang times, I'm going to have to cut you off, because I'm not finna deal with that. I'm not dealing with nobody disrespecting me, abusing me, or hurting me in any kind of way no more. I'm not. So, like, I have to change myself. You show me who you are, I'm a respond to that. I'm gonna respond to that. I'm gonna live accordingly. So, that's it. That's all I gotta say. Yep, these chapters is just really getting me thinking about my life. But that's how the Bible works. That's how the Bible works. It's the living word. Truly is. That's one of the things I love about reading the Bible. Every time you read it, you get some new revelation, or it connects to your life in some kind of way. And right now, these chapters just getting me thinking about all of the different stuff that I done learned. Not only from my counseling sessions, but from just the videos and everything on YouTube that the Lord been having me watch. Cause y'all know how the Lord be talking to you in a whole bunch of different ways. Sometimes the Lord will just put a video on, like, I'll be scrolling on YouTube, and the Lord will put a video on my page that I'm supposed to watch. Because I just get the feeling that I'm supposed to watch it, and I just watch it. And I listen, and I'm like, yup, he teaching me again. He's speaking through me through social media again. So, yup. Thank y'all so much for listening. I love you. Jesus loves you, and have a blessed day. Bye.